We have a discussion. Our discussion is turning to voting rights and voting rules. And the rules, well, they keep changing. This time it's happening in Florida. Here to discuss the changes is Dr. Avis Jones-Deweever. She's the co-founder of Max Black Media. And Avis, one of the things that we're experiencing here is that the new law signed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis requires the following: a government-issued ID or the last four digits of your Social Security number to request a mail ballot. And the mail ballot request only lasts for 2 years rather than 4 years under the previous law. Drop boxes can be used only during early voting hours unless they're at the supervisor's office. And then someone must be present at all times to watch the boxes. Remote video surveillance is no longer allowed. Are such measures, Dr. Avis, needed to increase election security, or do they serve another purpose?
They are definitely not needed to increase election security. There is no problem with election security outside of the big lie and all of these ridiculous laws that are going on in well over 40 states across the nation, specifically meant to curtail voting rights and specifically targeting communities of color. What you have here is a governor that I believe is running for the vice presidential side of a second Trump candidacy. So even though Florida actually won. He actually won in Florida as a Republican governor. Florida actually won in terms of supporting the Republicans with the Trump reelection campaign. But even in spite of all of that, they are going through all these same draconian methods, similar to various other states across the nation, just to show and prove themselves to Trump that they are loyal and they will do everything that they can to curtail a rising and strong Black and brown voting population in that state.
Look, as a political analyst, you've been following elections for a long time. What do you make of the fact that the local and most national media were blocked from covering the bill signing with only Fox News allowed in?
See, once again, that was a publicity stunt. That was something that he did to, once again, be able to put on a show for Fox viewers and for his dear leader, Donald Trump. This has nothing to do with a necessary problem with elections at all. This is about being able to prove in as many ways that he can that he is someone who is as Trump is. He is someone who wants to appeal to the same people that Trump appeals to. He is someone who is going to carry the water of the big lie that nearly brought this nation to its knees on January 6th. And he wants to proactively do everything he can in order to undercut the demographic shifts that are going on across this nation, including in Florida, which he believes might be of detriment to future Republican political successes.
Look, the three voting rights groups sued the state right after DeSantis signed this bill, including Black Voters Matter, the NAACP, and a disability rights group. They've all spoken out against it. However, what impact might this law have on affecting someone to the late Congressman Hastings' seat and the 2022 midterms? Because there's a lot of distraction going on, if you will.
Exactly. So they are just trying to do everything that they can to move the ball, to make people really unable to know what they can do and what they can do. They're trying to throw everything against the wall to see what sticks in order to be able to disqualify as many voters as they possibly can. What they're trying to do is to rig an election years in advance. That's exactly what they're doing. So, it's really interesting to me to hear from a political party that wants to feign about rigged elections, that they have spent all this time, energy, and money going across this nation trying to rig elections literally in advance. And I'm so glad that you have groups that are already taking them to task legally in hopes that we can tear down some of the damage before it actually takes traction.
You've heard me say this before in discussions that you and I have had, along with some of our colleagues who study what's going on politically in this country. If the Republicans truly felt confident about this quote unquote big lie. Why take this course of action in 43 other states where state legislatures are trying to change the voting laws and still claiming that the election was rigged? Why don't they go out and earn the vote of Black and brown Americans?
Because they've decided that they don't want to. What they have seen is that they have cast their political die in a direction of really appealing to not only white voters, but a large contingent of white supremacist voters. We've seen what's happened under a Trump presidency in terms of a record number of hate groups rising. We saw what happened on January 6th, where there was a huge confluence there of hate groups that were part of that quote unquote insurrection attempt, right? And so it would be against brand, quite frankly, for them to try to go out and appeal to Black and brown voters in any sort of significantly legitimate way. And so, since they know that's the case, and they also know that they lost over 60 court cases, so there is no legitimacy to their point, what they're trying to do now then is to move forward anyway and use the lie as an excuse to feign a problem that doesn't exist, and in the process rig the election to make it that much easier for their candidates to win and that much more difficult for people who are less likely to vote for them to have their votes actually count.
So, Avis, where does this push to restrict voting end, and how is it related to even the Tennessee proposal to restrict teaching about systemic racism? I mean, Representative Justin Lafferty of Knoxville going back into time and trying to create a revisionist history about the 3/5 compromise.
Once again, they are ringing the bells of white supremacy. All of this goes together. When you have someone here making an argument about how you don't need to teach honestly, real history in school, because he's making this argument about the 3/5 compromise that is absolutely incorrect. So once again, he shows that obviously you do need to teach about that in school. But when you have people that are doing that, at the same time, these very same people are looking to protect Confederate monuments at the same time that they're looking to give criminal immunity to people who could run over and kill protesters while making it more difficult for people to protest. I mean, we see what's going on here. All of these things come together. What we are seeing is the rise of an autocratic state. We have known, even under the previous presidency, there's been research that's been conducted that has shown that when racially intolerant rights believe that Black people are about to increase in terms of their rights in this nation, they are more likely to favor autocracy over democracy. So what's going on right now is the actual implementation of that research all across this nation with all of these various lies and laws. You see people actually trying to put into place a non-democratic state where you will have minority rule in the hopes of creating an autocratic rule that will therefore suppress the ability not only of Black people and other people of color to vote, but even suppress their ability to protest these draconian laws that make it more difficult for them to vote. So there are so many things that's going on here that shows the rise of white supremacy in this nation at the same time that we're seeing a decline in democracy and a rise in autocracy.